Hello and welcome to the UFOcast does Captain Scarlet, episode 8, White as Snow. And it turns out I've forgotten like half of this episode, because my main memory of it is the whole submarine thing. Although I'm well aware of the music from the episode, because it turns up on Captain Scarlet's soundtracks. It was released as a single at the time, it's very catchy. But I'd entirely forgotten its context in the episode, which is the first attempt on Colonel White's life with the satellite being crashed into Cloud Base, or failing to be crashed into the Cloud Base, which then sets up the character drama, which I suppose is what the rest of the episode is about, because there's, I guess, much less Mr. On action in this episode than other episodes, and because it's 2 attempts on Colonel White's life, each one of them gets even less time than you would normally get in a regular Captain Scarlet episode. And as well as that, you've got this character stuff going on with Colonel White shooting down the satellite, Captain Scarlet disagreeing with that, and I'm still not sure who's in the right, because the implication is that they didn't discover it was a Mistron booby trap until afterwards, so Captain Scarlet's original point still stands, though he seems to change his mind and go, oh no, I've got it wrong, I'm going to have to go and save Colonel White. And obviously it's a good job that he does, because the Mistrons somehow know where Colonel White has gone, and somehow Mistronize Soames. Well, we'll talk about that in the new Mistron powers section at the end of the episode. I think the gun battle is quite effective, and I don't know whether watching first time I was particularly fooled. Certainly Operation Time did a much better job of the switcheroo, I think, because although glimpses are brief, they're enough for you to see Captain Scarlet's gun and the fact that he doesn't have white hair. And then there's just quite a lot of comedic elements to this episode, with Captain Blue running Cloud Base, and with Colonel White being locked in the cupboard, doing the whole kind of being cross with Captain Scarlet, although he's dead, in air quotes, and then sentencing him to death at the end, but as a sort of joke. The whole, there's no point putting him in front of a firing squad. Though, as we've talked about before, he could put him in front of the firing squad, because he would still feel the pain of being shot to death. And Colonel White's smiley head is... It's just, I think this episode is best enjoyed if you enter into the whole comedy of it. I did laugh quite a lot at various points in it. I'm not sure it's a top drawer episode. I might have to kind of say that this one's okay. I don't know. It depends. I think this is certainly one that I could feel differently about on a different day. And I think what struck me in particular in this episode, though I think I've probably noticed aspects of it in previous episodes, is that the move from the more caricatured puppets of Thunderbird and Stingray to these more realistic ones, and the consequent sort of lack of movement. There's lots of ways of moving them around, or implying that they've moved with sound effects, like where Colonel White comes in and then you hear the sound effect of Captain Scarlet getting off his desk, but you don't see him, because that movement would look weird for these kind of puppets. I think the fact that they don't blink in particular really struck me when you were kind of seeing shots of them all over Cloud Base, and it just gives a sort of lifeless aspect to the puppets, which is a shame. And I don't think it was something I noticed as a kid, and certainly the realism of the puppets was something that I was like, oh, this is a step forward when watching Captain Scarlet, but actually I'm not sure that it was. Though I struggle to imagine what a more caricatured sort of Thunderbird-style puppet would look like, in the world of Captain Scarlet. So, hey, it is what it is, and it's a lot of fun. There is, I guess, some level of character development in this story. Yeah, maybe I think I'll be generous to it and keep my previous good opinion of the episode this time round. Unfortunately, this week's Spectrum agent has been waylaid by the Mistrons, and so I have no extra contribution for you this week, I'm afraid. If you would like to be a retrospective contribution for this episode that I can publish in a future week, head over to ufocast.co.uk/captain to sign up, and that's the place to go if you want to contribute to any future weeks as well. I'd love to hear from some more of you. So episode order, we're episode 8 on the Blu-ray, as I said. This was episode 6 on the DVD order, so very similar place in the run. 14 on VHS, so somewhat later, sort of in the middle. But this really does make a difference, I think, watching them in this order, which is the first time I will have watched them in this order. Because although I think, for the most part, with continuity bits aside, not that we've come across many of those yet, you can watch Captain Scarlet in any order, really. But it does feel like there is a sort of gradual, gentle progression of the storyline, which I'm appreciating watching it in this way around. New Mistron powers. Is manipulating a chain to drown someone a new Mistron power? I suppose it's sort of like whatever it is that they do to influence the plane in Winged Assassin, or the truck in Big Ben Strikes Again. Though in this case we don't have Captain Black there present, kind of looking at it, but the chain clearly is acting under their power, which makes them this kind of increasingly kind of spooky force. Mr. Still at Large, well, again, Captain Black lives to fight another day. Is it a win or a loss for Spectrum? Well, I guess it's a win in that the Mystrons don't kill their target, but they have sown some discord amongst the Spectrum personnel, maybe. And Mr. Puppets, do check out that section on the website. Bob and Soames will have their page. Mr. Puppets, do check out the website. Bob and Soames will both have their entries on that. And next week, we will be back with Seek and Destroy.